100 days ago, I set out to create an ecosystem to study the effects of human activity on natural waterways. Watch and get an insider's view on humanity's impact. Marine life faces threats around every corner, but can it adapt to these unprecedented circumstances? As the Earth continues to change, not everyone will survive. And in the new world, only one law stands: adapt or die. But let me take you back 100 days to where it all began. I needed to simulate a river, so I grabbed some stones and driftwood. Then I filled the aquarium with water and added some plants, which are an essential part of any ecosystem, but the conditions here would be harsh. So if there was going to be any chance of success, I would have to use the toughest plants I could find. And with everything prepared, the system would come to life, and tomorrow, the experiment begins. On the first day, I added a group of Malaysian trumpet snails. They form an essential part of the ecosystem, as they aerate the substrate while they forage through it for food. And while they may be small in stature, their activity helps to shape the ecosystem. They also make great janitors, as they'll eat algae, detritus, decaying plants, and any leftover food they can find. The trumpet snails were joined by ram's horns, who will help keep the upper portions of the tank clean. And as a last addition to the cleanup crew, I got a pair of cherry shrimp. Together, they'll keep the ecosystem clean. And while these species have thrived for thousands of years, they have yet to face their greatest challenge. The effects of human activity on the environment is something no creature is prepared for. From lighters to rusty nails, bottle caps and broken pails, sea glass and plastic. The obscure, things that once were, and the downright dangerous. Many of our disposable goods find their way into our lakes and rivers. Over 80% of ocean pollution comes from land-based sources. It is estimated that 10 million metric tons of plastic flow into the ocean each year. And when faced with such pollution, it doesn't take long for the shrimp's natural survival instincts to kick in. No shrimp were harmed in the making of this video. And while it appears some desires are truly transcendental, we have to wonder what kind of long-term effects our consumption has on the environment. On day 10, I added a school of celestial pearl danios, and they were quite happy to zoom around and explore their new home in search of food and shelter. It didn't take very long for the males to size each other up over the best spots in the aquarium, and soon enough they would be hungry. But today, something a little different is on the menu. This is a pile of pre-production pellets. Often called nurdles, these little nuggets are the raw materials used to manufacture plastic goods. They are shipped overseas to factories where they are melted down and molded into plastic products. However, in the process, many nurdles are lost, and an estimated 11.5 trillion nurdles end up in the ocean each year, which is nuts. Once in the water, many fish mistake them for food. They cannot be digested, and once a fish eats them, they leach toxic chemicals into their tissues and give them a false sense of fullness, which often leads to malnutrition and starvation. Fortunately for the danios, nurdles are way too big for them to eat, but that doesn't stop them from trying. And they aren't alone in trying to eat nurdles. Shrimp scavenge through them in search of a meal, and the second generation of snails is born into them. The shrimp have also been getting busy. As you can see here, her underside is filled with eggs, and soon enough, she'll give birth. But what kind of future will her children have? Hopefully, while pregnant, she can avoid the vape, but avoiding the bottle will be even harder, as she literally lives in one. On day 30, I added God's silliest noodle, the Kuhli Loach. They use their barbells to dig around in the substrate to find crustaceans and other small creatures. Whew. I really love watching these guys, and they remind me of dogs. They spend most of their time sniffing around and digging through the substrate. They're really a fun fish, and they're always up to something. Like this guy, who really likes to keep his tunnel clean. After a long day of digging and sniffing, it's time for a nap under the broken pail. This is one of their favorite spots, and I always find a few in there. But meanwhile, up above, a new danger is formed, as discarded fishing gear has tangled up into a hazardous mess, and it wasn't long before somebody noticed. The shrimp were first to investigate, followed by snails, and eventually, even the shy Danios showed up. But this ghost gear, as it's called, is one of the most deadly forms of ocean pollution, designed to capture and kill marine life. Just because it's been lost or discarded doesn't mean it stops working. Ghost nets, lines, and traps continue to work and kill indiscriminately. And just like this poor Kuhli Loach here, many marine animals find themselves entangled and unable to break free. With no possibility for escape, he will surely die. Oh, never mind, he's good. On day 50, I added some guppies to use as ditherfish, because both the Danios and the Kuhlis are a little shy, and it'd be nice to see them more often. The guppies are anything but shy, as they explore every square inch and are quite happy to graze on all the plastic in sight. This girl was absolutely obsessed with trying to eat this tattered plastic flag. They also had a real passion for trying to eat anything blue. Every time I looked up, I found them tasting something blue. I don't know what's up with that. And at this point, I estimate that by weight, there's more plastic than fish in the aquarium, which isn't surprising considering all the fish are very tiny. But what is surprising is that this situation reflects what's happening in the real world, as it's estimated that by 2050, there will be more plastic than fish in the ocean. While I was filming, I kept running into this problem where my camera would focus on algae on the glass instead of the fish in the aquarium. This made filming pretty much impossible. I needed a solution, and I had just the guy in mind. Meet the Otocinclus, a small South American catfish who specializes in sucking. And while I brought them here to clean the glass, they took an interest in pretty much everything. They were equally happy to clean golf balls or plastic shovels, and soon enough, the glass was perfectly clean. After some hard work, he took a much-deserved vape break. Then he got right back to it by rubbing the lucky duck. And I don't know what it is about this red flag, but the fish seem to love it. Do fish get hungry when they see the color red? And then I noticed something else red. The cherry shrimp had finally given birth, and smaller than a nurdle, they all hung out around the lucky duck. But they weren't the only new shrimp in town. On day 80, I added a bamboo shrimp, and he immediately took up residence in the red flag. I really don't know what it is, but it's clearly the place to be. Bamboo shrimp are filter feeders, meaning they sit in places of high flow and use their fan-like appendages to catch passing organic matter. But there's a problem. Organics aren't the only thing floating in this environment. While floating debris only makes up about 1% of ocean pollution, it's particularly harmful for filter feeders like the bamboo shrimp. As it breaks down, it becomes indistinguishable from food, and many non-selective filter feeders can't tell the difference, and eat both food and microplastics without hesitation. This not only harms the animal, but has human implications as well. When we consume filter feeders, such as mussels, oysters, and clams, we eat them whole, including the digestive tract where the plastics accumulate. So think twice about what you're really eating when you order seafood. Today is the final day of the simulation, and after 100 days of pollution, I think it's time for a cleanup. Some things are easy, like replacing floating plastic with floating plants, or removing garbage from the riverbed. Some objects are buried deep beneath the substrate, and I unearth new things daily. But some things I'm not so sure I should remove, like the broken pail where the Kuhlis hang out, or the red flag where the bamboo shrimp filters for food. What was once our garbage is now a part of their home, and it's important that cleanup efforts respect that litter is now an integrated part of any ecosystem. So for now at least, the broken pail stands and the red flag flies. The nurdles are also a nuisance to clean up. There's really no good way to remove them without damaging the plants. So while I removed many, some are bound to stay. And after a quick cleanup, things are looking much better. And the best way to keep it clean is to stop polluting in the first place. We can do this by rethinking our personal plastic use Holding corporations accountable for the life cycle of their goods through extended producer responsibility, banning single-use plastics, addressing waste in developing nations, and improving wastewater management systems. If we fail, the results are catastrophic. The ocean acidifies, coral reefs are destroyed, and food chains are contaminated. In the end, there is no away, and everything we throw out must go somewhere.